As a boy, Bail met Bail Organa of the royal family of Alderaan and fell in love with her. Rather than fulfilling his boyhood dream of living past Cthulhu, he began to chase after her attention. The two eventually married, and Bail took on her name because of the love he had for her, and in the process forsook his own legacy. At some point, he became a politician, and following the invasion of Naboo, he came to represent his home planet in the Senate of the Galactic Republic, succeeding Bail Antilles, his relative by marriage. Organa was also the viceroy of his homeworld. As soon as he entered the intergalactic political arena, he established strong ties with like-minded senators, including Padme Amidala of Naboo and Mon Mothma of Chandrila. He also became close friends with Finis Valorum, former Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. Due to his honesty and his commitment to justice, Organa gained the respect of his senatorial peers. In spite of Organa's best efforts, the galactic government grew increasingly plagued by corruption, ultimately leading malcontents to take extreme action, led by the former Jedi Count Dooku. A loose affiliation of outlying star systems formed the Confederacy of Independent Systems and declared itself seceded from the Galactic Republic. With the rise of further separatism, following the rise of the Confederacy, Organa joined the Senate's Loyalist Committee, the members of which supported the Republic and its leader, Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine. In the framework of the committee, Organa came to work closely with Padme Amidala. In time, the Separatist crisis escalated into the full-scale conflict known as the Clone Wars. Organa, opposed to the war but cognizant of its inevitability, became especially active in his devotion to relief missions and other humanitarian operations. In this context, he often worked with members of the Jedi Order, for whom he came to develop a deep respect. Shortly before the Battle of Christophsis, Organa led a relief mission to the planet to aid its besieged people and Republic troops. He and his relief effort became trapped on the surface by General Warm Loathsome and his forces, and a separatist blockade led by the infamous Admiral Trench. When Jedi Knights Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi led an assault against Trench's fleet in an attempt to break through and aid Organa, the Admiral responded with a withering attack, forcing the Jedi to retreat behind a nearby moon. Trench staged several devastating attack runs against Organa's on-planet camp to draw Skywalker and Kenobi out from behind the moon, but the Admiral's blockade was finally broken by Skywalker and Admiral Wolf Yularen, who were able to deliver the supplies. Following Christophsis, Organa was then sent on trade missions. After its success, Organa was then contacted by Jedi Masters Yoda, Mace Windu, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who informed him of the destruction of the Republic fleet protecting Ryloth. He was then asked by them to assist Naboo representative Jar Jar Binks in negotiating an agreement with the Toydarians to allow them to use their planet to send relief supplies to Ryloth. However, Organa and Binks encountered resistance when Trade Federation Senator Lot Dodd, who claimed that doing so would violate Toydaria's neutrality. However, King Kentuku agreed to allow them to use the ships they brought to load the supplies to aid the Twi'leks, as long as the Federation did not learn of the Mercy mission. Organa then had Binks distract Lot Dodd's party at a dinner while he loaded the supplies aboard the ships. Following the mission, Organa, Binks, and Kentuku were confronted by Dodd, who claimed that Organa was responsible. However, Organa assured him that if he had any proof, he could show it to the Senate. Frustrated, Dodd withdrew his argument. Organa, alongside Senator Amidala, hosted a conference on Alderaan. However, following assassin Aurra Singh's first attempt on Amidala, Organa and Jedi Padawan Ahsoka Tano tried to convince her to leave. After she refused, Organa continued the conference with a droid taking Amidala's place. He and Captain Typho then went to her quarters to stop Singh. They then took Singh into custody. He then attended Amidala's party for Senator Aang. Organa then asked Amidala to join him in Senator Philo's meeting about the Enhanced Privacy Invasion Bill. Following the meeting, Organa and the other senators were then taken hostage by Cad Bane and his bounty hunters, following Bane's murder of Philo. When Bane was searching the senator for communicators, Amidala told him that they must not search her because she had a lightsaber. After Skywalker was captured by Singh, Bail and the other senators attended to him. After Bane and the other bounty hunters left, Organa and the others were saved from the explosives by Skywalker. Organa was present during the funeral of the 6 Jedi killed in the bombing of the Jedi Temple hangar. He also attended the trial of Ahsoka Tano seated alongside Ryochuchi, Mon Mothma, and Kin Rab, as the former Padawan was accused of masterminding the bombing. Tano was then ultimately cleared of all charges when Anakin Skywalker arrived with Barriss Offee, the real culprit. Following the Battle of Coruscant, Organa was among the many politicians who greeted Chancellor Palpatine after he had been successfully rescued by the Jedi Skywalker and Kenobi. Organa briefly spoke with Skywalker and expressed hope that Count Dooku's death could bring a quicker end to the war. Skywalker disagreed, saying that as long as General Grievous was alive, the war would continue. During the attack on the Jedi Temple by the clone troopers, Bail Organa arrived and tried to demand access to the temple. Escaping Jedi Zet Jukasa was shot down before his eyes by the clones, prompting him to flee to his ship, the Tantive III, with the intent of intercepting any surviving Jedi. Organa was able to locate and successfully rescue Master Yoda's and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then take them back to Coruscant to warn any surviving Jedi to remain hidden. After arriving on Coruscant, Organa made his way to the Senate building, where he sat with Padme Amidala as they witnessed Chancellor Palpatine transform the Galactic Republic into the Galactic Empire, bestowing upon himself the title of Galactic Emperor. One day after the proclamation of the new order, he was amongst the 63 senators arrested on charges of treason, yet his public proclamations of loyalty to the Empire freed him. Following the end of the Clone Wars and the execution of Order 66, Organa traveled aboard the Tantive III to Naboo, where he decided to adopt the newborn Leia, daughter of late Padme Amidala and the fallen Jedi Anakin Skywalker, in order to protect the child from harm at the hands of the Emperor, and because Organa and his wife had always wanted a baby girl. Organa later attended Amidala's funeral. After they returned to Alderaan with Leia, Organa, along with other dissident members of the newly refashioned Imperial Senate, took steps to form the Alliance to restore the Republic, which sought to restore democracy to the galaxy. During the reign of the Empire, Organa remained Senator of Alderaan in the Imperial Senate, though he secretly rebelled against the Empire. Organa was one of the only people in the galaxy who knew the whereabouts of both Yoda and Kenobi after the Purge. Although he eventually led Mothma into his confidence about Kenobi's survival, he did not tell anyone else and even lied to his rebel allies in later years, telling him that Kenobi had been killed during the Purge. Within the first year of the Empire, Bail Organa began clandestine operations against the Empire by helping planets in need. He would intercept secure Imperial messages to send cells of rebels to act on his behalf to help citizens being oppressed by the Empire. He had gotten his friend and loyal pilot, Captain Ramus Antilles, to join him in rebelling against the Empire, and the two of them were slowly recruiting the crew of the Tantive IV into their cause. One such communique described armed resistance to Imperial occupation on the moon of Rada. The message indicated that the uprising included a Jedi. Organa was surprised to learn that a survivor of Order 66 had been found, but became worried for the Jedi's safety, knowing that the Empire would want to hunt them down and kill them. Later, while on Coruscant, Organa heard of additional incidents in the Outer Rim, which may have also been in the work of the Jedi who he had wished to locate. This Jedi had begun running their own mercy missions, making sure food was delivered to those in need, stopping a Black Sun pirate, etc. Organa enlisted the help of Chargri Tajay and his co-pilot Tamsin in order to track this elusive Jedi, although he did not tell Tajay and Tamsin that the person they were looking for was, in fact, a Jedi. Tajay and Tamsin, along with R2-D2, eventually found the Jedi, Ahsoka Tano, the former Padawan of Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars. They had caught her in a tractor beam after her fight with an agent of the Black Sun criminal gang. R2 told Tano that Bail Organa was trying to contact her. Tano escaped from the ship, deciding to meet Organa on her own terms. When Organa later traveled on the Tantive IV to meet Tajay and Tamsin, Tano snuck her way onto the ship with the help from R2-D2, surprising Organa in his own quarters. Organa told Tano about his growing rebellion against the Empire and asked her to join his cause. She agreed, but only if Organa helped her to find a mysterious Imperial agent who was hunting down Force-sensitive children. Organa gave Tano information about the agent, the sixth brother, informing her that he was on Rada and holding Tano's friend, Caden Larte, captive. After freeing Larte, Tano contacted Organa, who sent transports, the Tantive IV, and A-Wing fighters to evacuate the farmers from Rada. Afterward, Tano met Organa at his ship, where she informed him that the evacuated farmers wanted to join the rebellion. During their conversation, Tano told Organa that she wanted to take his recruits and find missions for them. She became the manager of Organa's intelligence network and took the codename Fulcrum. In 9 BBY, the Inquisitor known as the Third Sister wished to lure out the fugitive Jedi Master Kenobi from hiding. Having realized Kenobi had fought alongside Organa during the Clone Wars, she arranged for Vect Nokru and his crew to kidnap Leia, hoping that Bail would ask Kenobi for help retrieving his daughter. During a visit to Alderaan by his sister-in-law, her husband, and their son, Leia got into an argument with her cousin. Afterward, Bail consoled his daughter, who had been told by Niano that she was not a real Organa. After Bail told her to apologize to Niano, however, Leia instead ran into the nearby woods, where she was ambushed by Nokru and his henchmen. Tracking the signature of Nokru's ship to Daiyu, and unwilling to bring the matter into public, Organa and his wife reached out to Kenobi on Tatooine via hologram. However, Kenobi, having spent the last 10 years in exile guarding Luke, declined the request. Unwilling to give up, Organa traveled to Tatooine, confronting the Jedi Master in person in his cave, emphasizing that only Kenobi knew of Leia's importance. Organa eventually managed to convince Kenobi, who embarked on a mission to save Leia. In the 14th year of the Empire, Organa sent his astromech R2-D2, accompanied by Organa's protocol droid, C-3PO, on a secret mission to gather intel about the Spectres. After the mission, the droid was returned to Organa by the rebels' leader, Kanan Jarrus, aboard the Tantive IV. Organa thanked Jarrus by compensating him for his efforts, before reciting a Jedi saying. Once C-3PO had left the room, Organa recorded R2's footage. When the Spectres launched a mission to rescue their captured leader from an Imperial fleet over Mustafar, Fulcrum discovered their plan. As TIE fighters from their fleet closed in on them from all sides, a small fleet of rebel ships, commanded by Fulcrum, emerged from hyperspace and aided the rebels' ship. Once aboard the ship, Chopper transmitted a communication from Senator Organa, who was introduced by Hera Syndulla. He told them about the different rebel cells that he and Ahsoka had been contacting around the galaxy, and that they were now coming together to unite against the Empire. Following the blockade of Ibar, Organa was able to find a manufacturer to build more B-Wing starfighters in secret. After learning of the rebellion's losses at the Battle of Garel, Organa dispatched Princess Leia, then serving as his aide, along with 3 Hammerhead corvettes to Lothal to expand the rebel fleet, under the guise of delivering relief supplies to the people of Lothal. In 2 BBY, Senator Organa and Rebel Command dispatched Saw Gerrera and a team of his partisans to investigate the disappearance of the Geonosian species. After losing contact with Saw's team, Senator Organa and the Phoenix Cell's commander, Jun Soto, dispatched Hera's Rebel Cell and Captain Rex to find Saw and recover his data. During the mission, the rebels rescued Saw, befriended the last surviving Geonosian, and discovered that the Empire had perpetrated genocide against the Geonosians. After rescuing Saw, Hera and Kanan reported their findings to Senator Organa. While Organa thought the evidence was insufficient to sway the Senate, he believed that revelations about the Geonosian genocide would turn more worlds against the Empire. Later that year, Senator Organa dispatched Hera Syndulla and her rebel crew on a mission to rendezvous with the former Senator Mon Mothma. Mothma had become a fugitive from the Empire after denouncing the Gorman massacre and wanted to travel to Dantooine in order to unify the various rebel cells and factions into an alliance. Despite being pursued by Imperial forces, the Spectres, Mothma, and Gold Squadron managed to reach Dantooine. Later, Organa, along with other rebels, were present at a meeting when his former colleague, Senator Mon Mothma, gave an impassioned HoloNet speech denouncing the Empire and announcing the formation of the Rebel Alliance. In 1 BBY, Senator Organa briefed a meeting of the Alliance leadership and the Spectres via hologram at the Great Temple. During the meeting, Organa corroborated the partisan leader's Saw Gerrera's intelligence that the Empire was using a relay station on Jalinda to track rebel supply lines. In response, the Spectres were dispatched on a mission to plant a spike on the relay. Later, Senator Organa attended a briefing with Mon Mothma, General Syndulla, and other rebel leaders on Yavin 4 to discuss the stolen TIE Defender Elite's flight data recorder, which Hera's Spectres had obtained on Lothal. When Organa asked if the Alliance fighters could match the new Imperial fighter, General Dodonna replied that Alliance fighters would be at a disadvantage. The Alliance leaders then discussed news of the recent activation of Protocol 13 on Lothal, which entailed the evacuation of all Imperial personnel on the planet. Hera then re-entered the meeting and convinced the Alliance to authorize a strike on Lothal. Since Hera already had a team on Lothal, Mothma authorized the operation. In 0 BBY, Organa spoke with Mothma following her meeting with Jyn Erso. He believed that the Imperial Senate would not act on whatever proof Erso's father, Dr. Galen Erso, had on the weapon. Organa believed that ceding to the Emperor's will had become second nature to members of the Senate. However, Mothma assured him that as long as it stood, the Alliance must try diplomacy first, but be prepared for what would come afterwards. Organa was present at a meeting of rebel forces at their headquarters on Yavin 4 to discuss the rising threat of the new Imperial superweapon, the Death Star. Organa exclaimed his support for Erso's idea to bring the fight back to the Empire. Following the meeting, Organa briefly spoke to Mon Mothma, informing her that he would be returning to Alderaan to prepare for the coming war that such actions suggested by Erso would bring about. Mothma asked Organa to bring Obi-Wan Kenobi out of his hiding on Tatooine. Bail Organa himself could not go due to being needed to rouse Alderaan to action, so he would send one of his agents to find Kenobi in his place. Mothma asked if he was sending someone he could trust, and Bail replied that it was someone he would trust with his life, his adopted daughter, Leia. About 2 decades after the end of the Clone Wars, Grand Moff Tarkin ordered the destruction of Alderaan by use of the Death Star, an immense space station filled with a powerful super laser. Shortly beforehand, Bail informed Breha of the Tantive IV's supposed destruction. The pair discussed their daughter Leia, sure that she would have survived the incident. When the battle station rose in Alderaan's sky, Organa immediately realized and told his wife it was the Empire's planet-killing superweapon, which horrified Breha. As she tried to tell him ways that could escape and save as many Alderaanians as they could, the Death Star fired, making Bail put her into his arms. As the ripple of destruction reached them, the husband and wife assured each other Leia was alive. Organa then died in the explosion of his homeworld, along with his wife. Statues in his and his wife's honor were erected in the ceremonial chamber of the Great Temple, from where the Alliance to restore the Republic launched their successful assault on the Death Star. Several members of the Alliance came to the statue to place wreaths and pay their respects. The Alliance pilot, Yvonne Verlaine, who had been one of Queen Brea's pupils in her youth, paid her respect to the deceased leaders of the Alderaan by observing a moment of silence in front of their statues. At some point between the Battle of Yavin and of Hoth, the Claudite shapeshifter agent Tunga Arpegian briefly impersonated Organa in his cell when Leia extracted him from the Dex Acquisitions Depot on Mayor Annie. However, the princess was not fooled and punched Arpegian in his face for trying to play games with her mind and using her late father's image. Bail Organa was a celebrated and bipartisanly revered martyr for the New Republic. Because of his leadership abilities and unifying qualities, he was a powerful figure in the philosophy of post-imperial politics. A 70-meter-high statue of him carved from Jalukene fogstone was erected in the senatorial complex in Republic City on Hosnian Prime. A hand on the statue was partially damaged during the Napkin bombing. Soon after the bombing and the statue of Organa's damage, a music box was discovered by the Senator of Arcanus, later Carice Sindian. The box, which was meant to be listened to only by Bail's adopted daughter Leia if she was given the governorship of Biren, contained the Alderaanian song Mirror Bright. It also contained a recording of Bail's voice speaking about Leia's true parentage. This recording was later used against Leia in a Senate hearing, forcing Leia to withdraw from her campaign for the first senator. Let me know what your thoughts of Bail Organa are in the comments below. Remember to like the video and subscribe for more character spotlights like this, as well as up-to-date news stories, book reviews, gaming videos, and more. As always, thank you all for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.